This Sunday in worship, we'll continue our study of 1 Peter by looking at three texts together. One from Isaiah, one from Matthew, and one from 1 Peter. One scripture text tells us who the Messiah will be. One tells us what the Messiah teaches. And the other tells us who the Messiah was. And all three teach us this: if we want to be like Jesus, we have to be willing to suffer injustice without feeling the need to retaliate or get even. To suffer unjustly is to be like Christ. When we return anger for anger or injury for injury, insult for insult or slight for slight, we stray from the example of Christ. I want to say that again. When we return anger for anger or injury for injury or slight for slight, we stray from the example of Christ. This is a simple, often repeated, and incontrovertible truth of Scripture, and this more than anything, the willingness to endure suffering without retaliation, especially unjust or undeserved suffering or ridicule, is what has the most potential to distinguish us from the larger culture. As we look to 1 Peter for ways to be in the world and not of the world, as we look to 1 Peter for ways to set ourselves apart as Christians in an increasingly non-Christian world, this is a fantastic place to start. We'll talk more about just this idea in worship on Sunday. I hope you'll join us. Lamar Wright is singing in the early service. Blair Morgan is singing a solo with our choir in the late service. We worship this weekend at 8:45 and 10:55 in our sanctuary or anytime online. I can't wait to see you then.